Well, hey there, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jason Smith, and want to talk a little bit about some changes coming up in our weather forecast, and we're talking late in the week. And so what happens to create a better rain chance in the summertime? Because, you know, you've lived here long enough if you're from the Gulf Coast that we see showers and thunderstorms just about every day in the summertime somewhere outside of a really strong dominating upper ridge pattern. And we do have that upper ridge pattern going, and it's just not been strong enough to keep storms from firing. Today, not as much happened. We have a heat advisory for tomorrow, and so we need some showers and storms to create a break in the heat, and that's certainly a possibility here. I'll switch it up full. You know, will we see a change in the upper air pattern? And that's where we really look for clues for any potential changes that might be going on with the weather pattern. So let's go first of all to talk about the amount of moisture that we have available for thunderstorms, which is, you know, if you've been here for any length of time, you know it's really muggy across the deep south in the summertime. And right now the dew points are very, very high. When you start getting up into the 76 to 77 dew point temperature range, you're up along the miserable line. You can see our muggy meter here, and so, you know, dew points over 70 start to get uncomfortable. Dew points over 75 get almost ridiculous, and when dew points get close to 80 degrees, that is about as unbearable as it gets. We've got this big body of water to the south of us, the Gulf of Mexico, and that's the source region for these higher dew points. And the wind pattern is very light, but it's out of the southwest, and that is bringing in moisture off the Gulf of Mexico. So we have the moisture ingredient taken care of for showers and thunderstorms, but in the upper levels, we've actually had some stability here. And so want to look at our water vapor loop first. This is a satellite picture that shows the amount of available moisture in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. You have to think about the atmosphere like layers of a cake. So the bottom layer is at the surface, and we've got winds out of the south. That's what makes those dew points uncomfortable, a lot of surface moisture. Mid and upper levels, you know, mid levels up to about 10,000 feet, and then higher for the upper levels where the airplanes fly, that kind of thing. There's plenty of moisture there, as is evident in the water vapor loop. No sign of any dry air coming in anytime soon. All right, so let's talk upper level pattern. And the first thing we want to look at here is this upper ridge. And I'm going to bring it up full, and I'm going to do a little pointing out as to what's going on here. So I'm going to move the slider bar back to the current setup. And what we can see in where you see the red, that is an upper ridge. There's a big one sitting over the western United States. There's also a big one sitting off the east coast of the United States in Florida. And that, you know, if you look at the flow pattern in the upper levels of the atmosphere, so there's a slight trough up into the Great Lakes, but there's basically, we're just sandwiched between two ridges. And the flow pattern is not real amplified. There's not a big drop or dip in it here. And so when you see it come down like this, when you see the upper level winds come up out of Canada and work their way down into our area, that is called an upper trough. And we're going to see one of those develop late in the week. So we talked about it. We have the moisture, but what about upper level support for the showers and storms? And so as we get later in the week, you see this orange line coming down the St. Louis, Missouri, up towards Nashville. That is a trough, and the two ridges become more spaced out. The one in the western United States is dominant, so there's a big red circle there. And then you have a dip in the central United States, and that is an upper trough, and it's actually making it down into northern Arkansas and into the Tennessee Valley. And the other ridge out in the Atlantic is backing off towards Bermuda. So this is called a break in the upper pattern, and it's going to create more instability and divergence aloft, which allows these thunderstorms to get going and maintain themselves, which means we could even see thunderstorms at night, outside the normal daytime heating, showers, and storms. So as we work into the tail end of the week, looking at Friday morning, we have a pronounced trough in the central and eastern United States. And the axis of that trough is going to be really right down the Mississippi River. The ridge in the west is still very dominant, and it's going to be super hot out in the Four Corners. And the ridge in the Atlantic is very, very strong, but we're sitting in a break in the ridge. So if you add in the surface winds out of the south and the upper pattern, or the upper water vapor loop showing all the available moisture in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, and then you add a trough into the United States, the central United States and the southeastern United States, you have the ingredients for more than the usual amount of showers and thunderstorms. So let's run this out in model form. First, the GFS model through Tuesday at around 3 o'clock, just showing some scattered showers and storms tomorrow. We'll advance it forward here and take it into Wednesday. Same thing, not a whole lot going on, but we're starting to see signs of a front. And there's a band of rain roughly from Texas to Arkansas to through Mississippi and up into the Tennessee Valley. And that's that front moving into the region. Now, this time of the year, this front is not going to make it through. It's not going to actually go all through the area or offshore or bring us any dry air. But it's going to come close enough. It'll stall over northern Mississippi. And look at Friday. That has a wet look to it. If you look at Mobile, you can see the streamlines there. That's that south and southwesterly flow. That is really cranking in the moisture at the surface. And then you've got the instability from the upper trough and the forcing from the front moving in the region. That's going to lower our daytime highs. So remember that heat advisory that I showed you at the beginning? Well, that is going to be a thing of the past, and we will actually trend over to a wet weather pattern as we get into the forecast for the tail end of the week. On Friday, certainly seeing a wetter scenario. So just wanted to give you some insight here on next weather today as to why we expect the rain to be a little bit more likely on Thursday and Friday. By Saturday, it looks like we're starting to scatter out again, but we still will see a fair number of showers and storms Saturday and Sunday. So how much rain are we talking about here? Well, you know, not a ton. So if we look at the GFS model, it's saying generally between an inch and about an inch and a half in our area. This 7-day projection is a little bit more on a higher scale, and so that's the 7-day, and it's showing higher amounts north of I-10, and some spots could be in that 2-inch range, maybe up to 3 inches. Now, you know, there's no telling exactly where these storms are going to pop up. This is summertime, this is convective activity. But we're going to watch this because there's a lot of moisture available. And, you know, some communities will get 4 inches and some will get 1. But the average is 2 to 3 inches across the area. We expect to see quite a bit of rain for the end of the week and possibly into the early part of the weekend. A wet weather pattern. It's not because of a tropical system. It's really more because we have an upper trough, and then we have the good old Gulf Coast moisture and all the available moisture needed for showers and thunderstorms. The precipitable water values are going to be over 2 inches. That's another clue that this is a very moist environment that's setting up for the Gulf Coast. So I just want to give you a little insight on what we're seeing for the second part of the week with the potential for wet weather moving our way. Thanks for joining us for Next Weather here tonight.